Masih bersama kami di Presisi Siang, kita beralih ke mancanegara. Bangunan ikonik New York favorit turis, The Vessel, kembali dibuka setelah 3 tahun ditutup. Bangunan arsitektur senilai 25 miliar dolar ini sempat jadi lokasi bunuh diri. Berikut laporan Randy Wicaksana dari VOA.
Bangunan ikonik The Vessel di New York ini kembali dibuka untuk publik. Sebelumnya, The Vessel terpaksa ditutup karena sempat jadi tempat kejadian perkara 4 kasus bunuh diri, sambil memenuhi desakan untuk bangun fitur keamanan ketat untuk pengunjungnya.
So we've installed a steel mesh from level to level that allows for people to see through, but also prevents access out of the vessel on each level. And so it allows people to walk all the way up to the top of the elevator at the top of the vessel, but also preserving the views.
Sejak bangunan ini pertama kali dibuka untuk umum pada 2019, The Vessel sempat jadi tujuan wisata yang populer. Inisiatif fitur keamanan baru ini disambut baik oleh pakar psikologi untuk mencegah upaya bunuh diri.
There is a barrier, then that provides extra time when the person might change their mind or somebody might intervene, because that period between thinking about and attempting suicide can be a matter of minutes.
Selama penutupan The Vessel, area ini tetap populer di kalangan turis meski hanya bisa bersuah foto dari luar. Kini para pelancong kembali bisa melihat interior The Vessel dan berselfie ria dari ketinggian dengan aman.
I feel like the netting is good not only for safety but for people like myself that are afraid of heights. So it's a good thing, it keeps people safe.
Setelah dibuka kembali, The Vessel bisa dikunjungi dengan biaya masuk $10 atau sekitar Rp150.000. Bangunan yang kini jadi ikon baru kota New York berada di kawasan mewah barat di Manhattan.
Bunuh diri jadi salah satu penyebab kematian yang cukup fatal di New York. Data tahun 2019 misalnya menunjukkan ada 525 orang yang tewas bunuh diri di negara bagian New York. Dan lompat dari ketinggian jadi penyebab bunuh diri keempat terbesar di New York City. Pada tahun 2021 misalnya, terakhir ada seorang remaja berusia 14 tahun yang lompat dari ketinggian dan tewas di sini. Dari New York City, saya Randy Wicaksana, VOA.
Tanggal 5 Desember, PBB mencanangkan Hari Relawan Internasional. Tim dari VOA mengajak pemirsa untuk melihat serba-serbi aksi relawan. Profil relawan kali ini adalah mantan prajurit Amerika Serikat yang pernah bertempur di Irak. Ia tidak lagi bersama tentara Amerika Serikat, namun tetap kembali ke Irak untuk berbagi dengan warga Irak yang terdampak perang melalui proyek minum teh. Berikut liputan selengkapnya.
The project is a ongoing project in collaboration with Amber Ginsberg. I originally began the project in 2009 out of a return trip to Iraq in order to share all the generosity despite, and to create a space for people to sit, sip tea, and reflect about living in a constant state of war. I asked Amber to join the project in 2013 to help cast one porcelain teacup for each person that's been detained in Guantanamo. You know, we've pushed the project further and expanded it to include all these forms of presentation and installation. From the middle of my deployment, I've committed my life to using creative practices to counter destruction, to counter the dehumanization that too much of our world is consumed by. You know, I remember, getting up to Camp Navistar, which is the camp on the border between Kuwait and Iraq, shortly after President Bush, got up on an aircraft carrier and declared mission accomplished. And, I was motivated. I was like, we're gonna go provide some humanitarian relief. I'm gonna help, fix some bridges and stuff, and I'm gonna go home a hero. The whole time I was deployed, I was offered tea by the Third Country Nationals, which is a massive migrant labor force that the U.S. military depends on. It's basically slave labor. And they come up to us and they say, hey, we need food. And we tell them it's not our job to feed you. And these were guys hauling our supplies. And despite that, these men that had nothing would turn to us and offer us tea. And then we would refuse it. Everyone that we were there to help and liberate, we were simultaneously dehumanizing and abusing. And so I never had tea my entire deployment, not once. I got out of the Illinois National Guard and I joined Iraq Veterans Against the War. One of their allies was this group called U.S. Labor Against the War. They wanted to host an international labor conference to talk about worker issues in Iraq in the midst of the occupation. And after I was done speaking, this man jumps up in the back of the auditorium and starts yelling something really loud in Arabic and just booking down towards the stage. And I'm like, okay, well, this is it. You know, this guy's gonna come beat me up. And just as he comes up on stage, I hear the translation come through the little earpiece, and it's, I just wanna come up on stage and give this gentleman a hug. And he grabs me and he hugs me. And I just started to bawl. You know, this man, he was in the Iraqi military and fought against the invading forces and forced the British military out of his oil fields. And there he was hugging me. And they brought me off stage and they brought me out of the auditorium, they sat me down. And they offered me tea. Tea that for the very first time, I accepted.
Presisi Siang akan segera kembali, tetaplah bersama kami.